G'day everybody and welcome to Dog Shadow Gaming, the channel where we live to game and game to live. As always, I'm Belf, and today we're looking at Mordheim City of the Damned, but a different one from our normal Witch Hunters guide. What I thought I'd do, guys, is take a break from the Witch Hunters for a little bit. I'll still keep doing that series, but what I thought I would do is do a bit of an introduction for each of the other warbands. Now, some of these I've played a fair bit, and some of them not so much. So please do, if you feel that I've missed anything and I'm not giving, I suppose, as much information as I could or should, please do leave a like in the, sorry, not a like, a comment. I mean, please do leave a like too, but leave a comment down below and help out new players. These guides are specifically aimed for new and intermediate players. Some of the biggest comments that I get and feedback I'm getting on the beginner's guide is all these people saying, I've never seen this game before. Like, I've never seen it. This is really good. So I think there's still a lot of people who just don't even know about Mordheim, and it's such a great game. But much like games, I mean, probably games that come to mind that are a bit similar are things like EVE Online, where there's just this massively really steep learning curve that's quite insane. I mean, I was streaming Chaos the other day, and one of the guys said, I love this game, but I love to hate it. Like, the learning curve is really hardcore, and I've got to agree, it is really hard. So these guides are made for new people and intermediates and people just trying to start, to give you some sort of idea how the point system works, how skills work, how bits and pieces work. Now, I'm going to show you my Chaos band. We're going to start with Chaos. We've already done our Witch Hunters, of course. We're going to start with Chaos, and we're going to work with them. Now, this is a level 8 Chaos warband. So I'm going to just pop in now, and this is our lovely leader here. And I'm going to have a quick talk through Chaos. Now, there's no one specific 100% right way to build anything. The beauty of Mordheim is that you can really build it any way you like. And once you get good enough and you know the game enough, you can play some really wacky and funny builds. You can do whatever you like, you know what I mean? That's what makes it so good. You can make your warband any way you like to make them. That's really what the strength of this game is. For an old game, it's about 3 years old, 3 or 4 years old, I think. It's got some great strategy. It's fantastic layers of strategy. You might not think it, just being a turn-based, you're like, oh yeah, but there is a lot of strategy and complex strategy that's layered in that's really cool. So again, guys, if you think I miss anything, please do leave hints and tips for new people who might be watching this in the comments below. Now, let me start off with your leader. Now, this guy is your, I go and colour my Chaos warband. I love having the Chaos because you can put all the 4 different gods in there. I've got some Cornate Bloodthirster type. Well, he's not Bloodthirsters, obviously, but Berserkers, Cornate Berserkers here, and then I've got this guy here, Cornate Champion. I only say he's Cornate because I've coloured them all red, right? And then you've got some Undivided here. You got a bit of Tzeentch and Slaanesh, you know. It's really good. So you can sort of, a bit of the Plague Lord Nurgle here with green. And you can really sort of customize them to have a real in-depth warband. Or make them all Cornate, or make them all Nurgle, whatever you want. I've actually played a campaign with just all Nurgle. But I mean, it's just changing colors, but still. So let's go in quickly to the leader here. So as you can see with the leader, if we're looking through his points here, strength, he's max skill, length, and strength, or physical for strength, is 10. So it's not bad, but it's not amazing, yeah? Toughness is 12, it's about average for, you know, sort of your trash frontline units. And then you've got agility at 14. Agility's not too bad. 14 agility is not, it's kind of mid-range, so it's alright. So the best stat out of his physicals is obviously agility, which does lean him a little bit more towards a dodgy kind of character. Moving down to mental, it's pretty clear who the winner here is. His intelligence level is max 20, which very, very heavily leans him towards a caster, because, I mean, you've got leadership of 18, but you should have that with any leader anyway, so that's good. Alertness, again, 18. So what this is kind of telling you is he wants to be a caster with that high leadership and alertness. This is really where you're going to be spending your points. Not making your leader a caster, you can certainly do it. There's plenty of people that would do it and say you can. And I'm sure there's some really great builds. And if you have a great build, then don't like, please do leave it in the comments below for new people might be watching. But it really does lend himself to being that caster. Now, some people will tell you that casting in Mordheim is rubbish, that it's not worth it. It's, you know, it's very high risk, very low reward. And in some cases, you're right. Like, there's nothing worse than watching, and this is the thing, watching your leader try to cast and all of a sudden you get a bad roll and it's like 999, instant death. They do seem to come out of it without any permanent injuries, however, generally speaking. It just knocks them out. That's been my experience with it. They always seem to come back. I haven't seen one permanently die yet. Let's just say they can't, but they get knocked out. So that can take your leader out. The benefit of Chaos is that most of them don't suffer from, you know, fear or morale problems. Not a lot anyway. So it does take a fair bit. You don't have to run leadership too high on most of the characters. So it's how do you say it? It's not a huge thing if your leader drops as bad as it is on like Skaven or the vampires, where it's a massive problem if your leader drops. However, this can be a real bitch if it pops on you early on in the match. It can really hurt you. Having said that, he does have some really great magical abilities, which I'll go through in a second. So again, it's really leading with this alertness, high agility, and high intelligence. It's really leading to this caster who has a lot of agility if he gets caught and could sort of, you know, jump out of the way or disengage when he needs to. So that really does lean it as your max scores towards that end. Martial prowess, weapon skill is 12. Again, that's fairly average. Ballistic skill, 12. Again, okay, it's not bad, it's not good. Accuracy is 15. So again, when you've got characters with high accuracy, if you read the points below, each point increases critical hit chance by 1% and critical hit damage by 1% and bypasses 2% of target's dodge. So what this is if you want to run things that have big two-handed weapons, you generally want big hits, like big critical hits. And that's why when you're rolling with a staff, it's a two-handed weapon. And this is why accuracy is the way to go, because you're going to put the most damage out if you have to get into melee. You're going to want to dodge. You know, you want to be dodging out of most attacks and then smashing them with something huge two-handed, right? So this is really good. And this is why he's really set up to be a caster. Again, you don't have to do that. You could do a two-handed dodge tank if you wanted to do, or just two-handed dodge damage dealer. You have got 12 weapon strength, so you're going to get a lot of melee resistance out of that and melee hit. Okay, not amazing, but okay. Ballistic skill, you can run him as an archer if you wanted to. You got high crit and an okay ballistic skill. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible either. So you could run him as an archer and still do a bit of casting. The problem with not having, and we'll go quickly now into his gear. This is about level 8, guys. I haven't managed to pick myself up a purple staff yet. As you can see with the staff, you get Tzeentch's curse chance minus 9%. And this is really important because you want to minus the chance. If you're going to be throwing spells all the time, you got to bring that chance to get, you know, a negative buff from spell casting as much as you can. So having that, losing that 9%, doesn't sound like a lot, but losing that 9% it hurts, yeah? Because you're just upping every chance you throw a spell out, you're just upping that. And this guy can throw out some pretty good spells. Like, he can really buff your team. This Chaos guy is not generally a frontliner. Zarnak here, you want him kind of at the back line. You want him buffing your troops and throwing down stuff, like spitting out acid and things at people. That's really where he's going to shine. In line with that, you can see that I've got the chance to pass all alone and fear test. He does not have arcane perks. Allows the casting of arcane spells. Casting may result in effects of names Tzeentch's curse, but he doesn't have any resistances to terror or fear tests. So it's really important that you give him decent leadership. You start working on his leadership as soon as you finish up your spells. I've gone just for spells because I haven't found it to be a huge problem yet. But leadership is important at some stage. Alertness, I found agility to dodge if he does get into trouble, which is rare because you're going to be back lines. And then having the accuracy high over these two so that if he does get in, because you already start, you've got 6 here, so it's not bad melee hit chance. His melee hit chance, where is it? There's resistances, movements. Oh, I've got his having the agility up to 14 out of 15. I've got a 95% dodge chance, which is pretty damn good. You're going to be able to dodge most things. Having said that, this is RNG, so you can still lose on a 95% dodge roll, and it happens all the time. But having high dodge just allows him to be that trickster in the back line. Anyway, so let's keep moving on. Back to inventory. Here I've got Divine Wrath chance, so that's actually wrong. It's Zinch's Curse, not Divine Wrath chance. So I just picked it up with that. It's not something I put on. Chance pass all alone and fear test by 15%, which is just adding a little bit extra. On here I've got 1 to intelligence, 1 to agility. This is just an added. Dodge chance plus 20%, which is really good. Absorbs 15 armor and takes absorbs some of that there. Yeah, so that would be the converse. You could put him in heavy armor. You could do that later on, but it will drop his dodge chance. And I'd rather at this point have the movement and utility being able to move around and throw spells out than have him heavily armored. I've played around with putting him in heavy armor, like once you get all purples in here, you can get purple head, purple. It can reduce the Zinch's Curse down significantly anyway, but then you're still losing your mobility. So it's up to you. It depends on what you want to do. Skills wise, what I tend to go here is, again, I'm pushing him right down that casting line. So after dealing melee damage, reduces the cost of the next spell cast by 1 offensive point. The next action taken must be a spell or the effect is lost. This is what you start with, right? So it kind of leans itself in your first skill that if you're wondering about how should I build this character, go and look at the first skill, whether it's an active or a passive. This will give you a hint. So if you have a look at that first skill and see what it benefits or buffs, and then go and have a look at your points and where the maxes are and what ones are higher, this will start to give you a really good idea as to where you should put, or where you should be putting those points and what sort of path you should be pushing this guy down. Again, you don't have to go down that path, you can do anything you like, but if you're new or a beginner intermediate, I suggest following that path. It will make life a little easier for you. Now, I have 8 unspent skill points here, so you can see that I haven't spent a lot yet. I'm making them before I can spend them all. So he's got that, that's cool. Reduces the chance, so if this one here is channeling, reduces the chance to trigger a Zinch Curse by 5% when casting a spell. So this is important because if you're going to be throwing out those spells a lot, just 5% will decrease that. Chance to trigger it's reduced by 15% is the second one, which is one I will probably put points into. I need 9 intelligence in that one. Requires 9 intelligence, which I already have, so I don't need that. So, yeah, 9 intelligence. So I can get this one if I want to, I'm not yet. Moving right along, this is, 1 second. Grants 4 skill points. This is just basically you can buy it and it grants you a heap of skill points to throw into spells. I just did it because I had the money, it was worth it. Zinch increases magic resistance by 15% in case you're in a battle off with other mages or whatever else. Good if you're fighting chaos demons and bits and pieces because they'll throw out magic, so this just helps you a little bit. So I tend to do that up. Now what you want to do on your last is up to you. For their specific one, you've got Chaos Evolution. Chaos Evolution, after every every climb, leap, jump action to receive a 40% chance to recover 1 strategy point. Recovery chance increased by 80%. So that's pretty good. It's one that you could use. I mean, use it anywhere. That's not too bad because you want to be sort of mobile with your guy. Only costs 90 coins, so it's not bad to take. Chaos Advantage. After every dodge chance, parry chance, sidestep, or web of skill action, receive a chance to receive 1 OP point. So again, they're sort of leading you down this alleyway where you can pretty much do anything and get another, have more points to spend, which is a good thing to do. And again, these are good to get early on because it's only 90. Yeah, I haven't gone with them this round, but you could get them. So let's have a quick look on the other side of town. So attracting lure. Single engaged enemy. Target must undertake a leadership test. Failing the test will force the target to flee all engagements, providing free attacks to anyone engaged with it. So basically, you know, if you've got 3 guys surrounding this one guy, and you just go, okay, well, I'm just going to make you, I'm going to try to force you to take basically flee, which means I'm going to get 3 free hits on you if it works. And that's massive. You can, with 3 free hits, you can take someone out pretty clearly. So this is really good. It's just fear. It's a fear bomb. Introspection. This is a really good one. You might think it doesn't sound that useful, but I have found it to be very, very useful. Self. Once per turn, convert 3 strategy points into 1 offense point. Cannot exceed maximum offense points. Can only be used while not engaged. So remember what I said before about having your mage sit at the back of your guys? Now if he's sitting at the back and your front lines are engaged, right? So imagine his back line, your mid lines are there, and then you got your front lines and somebody's engaged you, right? You've forced the battle into a position where he is at the back. He's buffing away, he's rah, but he's not moving, so he's not using any of his strategy points. And quite often you'll just finish the turn because you're not moving anywhere, right? Well, this allows you to get one of those strategy points back and then potentially throw out another spell or another buff or whatever. You wouldn't think you'd use it that much, but you do use it a lot, especially if you're playing backline cast. And so you start to see why he's pushed this way. One of the hardest things I had when I first started playing is I really wanted to play Chaos, but I could not figure for the life of me how to get their leader to work. I kept putting swords and shields on him and all this other stuff, and he'd just go down. He'd just get sucker punched hardcore and go down. And it wasn't until I realized I really had a good look at him and went, okay, so he's really a caster. And for the longest time when I first started playing, I was like, oh, I really don't like casters because it's kind of high risk. And I saw it as not a lot of reward for the risk. And, you know, in some ways it's not. But I have really enjoyed playing him this way. So let's move on and keep going, all right? In the next one, we've got these guys. Now, these guys really, the hero Possessed, really annoyed me when I first started playing because he looks like such a frontline bruiser. He really does look like this amazing frontline bruiser. You just roll him in there and he mashes stuff, you know? You read it, guilty of the ultimate blasphemy, the possessed are men who have freely given their bodies over to demons. The result is a ghastly amalgamation of flesh, metal, demonic essence, fused together by the most abominable mutations. Hulking beasts with minds part mortal and part demon. The possessed are revered by their cult. Few things in Mordheim are as feared and dangerous as these obscenities. Now, when you read that, you just go, wow, okay, so this guy's all about the bruising, yeah? But the reality is he's actually not. What I've found to be his best skills, and we'll go down there, is actually as a fetcher. He's your errand boy, man. Like, he doesn't look it. He doesn't look it. This is my mutations, which you get. We'll go and look at those in a second. But let's have a look down here, right? Always fights to the death. Prevents the use of flee, retreat actions. Immune to all alone, right? So this immune to all alone, that's a big one there, right? Unwavering immune to all alone. Fear, terror, test. So he's just completely immune to everything, yep. Gifted with random mutations at rank 1, 4, and 7. So you can see that he's 7 now. So he's now got his final mutation. So one of the mutations, he's got the crown of thorns here. He's got multiple eyes as well. And he's got the axe. Now they do start, if you have a look at the feet down below, they're not normal feet. They're kind of like bird feet. So they can fly. You hear these guys coming from this pound, 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 pound. They sound like this massive juggernaut. They actually sound like the juggernaut flying around, and they have huge distance. They can pound along. They've got some really good speed and huge distance. And so what happened was, if you're trying to run them in front lines, it doesn't matter what you do, they will run right ahead of all of your troops, usually get caught out by themselves and get pounded. They can't wear a lot of armor. So if you have a look here, melees, the armband, range, none, armors, cloth, pendant, and amulet. So they cannot take a lot of hits, right? They can't wear the armor to do it. So how do you build them? And this is why I kept having them die over and over and over again, because they look super tough and tanky, but they're actually not. So if we have a look at the physicals and we start here, 17 for strength. So they can punch out a walloping. They can do a lot of damage. And something to remember about these guys, when they attack, they cannot be parried. Because their physical attacks are not done with weapons, they're hand attacks, you cannot parry hand attacks. So any physical hand attack you can't parry. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. I could be wrong on that because I think I recall parrying a rat ogre. Maybe not a rat ogre, maybe it was a standard ogre with a weapon. If that was the case, then it parried the weapon, not the rat ogre. Not sure on that one, guys, but I'm sure, Chris, if you're watching and you know, mate, pop that one down in the comments for the newbies. But pretty sure, I know that with these guys, you absolutely cannot parry them. You can dodge, but you can't parry, right? So parry is useless against these guys. So strength, really, really important, right? It can do a lot of damage. You might be thinking, but Belf, you haven't put really any points into it. Well, they start pretty high anyway, guys. So they start with that. I've gone straight into toughness, right? And I've put into agility as well. So I've gone into toughness because, and this is the thing, agility, I find with agility, and I'll talk more about this when I do my Skaven review, or my Skaven guide, or helpful guide, whatever you call it, beginner's guide. It can be a little, I mean, it's agility, so it's kind of a hit or miss. You know, with toughness, it's a straight up solid stat. You're getting health, right? And if you stack it with armor or even without armor, you're still getting health. So you kind of, it takes some of the randomness out of it, the RNG out of it. Because although it is better to not be hit in the first place, 100%, and if you're actually reading some of the comments from some of the other, if you're watching my Witch Hunters guide, I think it was Chris was saying, you know, you're better off not getting hit at all. And he's very right. You are better off not getting hit at all. Negating all damage by not getting hit is one way to do it. However, what I find is the agility can be very unreliable. It can be a bit dicey, and you can go 3 or 4 games and not take a hit and just dodge through everything. You know, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. But that one hit you do get hit, poleaxes you. And I've seen characters just have a run of bad luck, bad RNG rolls, and die on me straight away. All the points in the world just gone. You know what I mean? So what I have found with these guys is, and bear in mind that I am going to tell you what I use them for in a bit, to play with the toughness first and try and get that up. If I get that up, they're more likely to survive, in my opinion. It is risky either way, whether you go through that agility, which is also 17 as a max, or you go to toughness. Either way, you know, you've got to take your punches. Just in my opinion, a solid stat is better than a high percentage chance. To me, that's me. But again, there's going to be much probably senior players that might disagree, and that's cool. Put your opinion down in the comments, guys, and let new and intermediate players know what you think. Leadership, not necessary, because you're immune to all alone fear and terror tests, so you don't need it. So it's not a major importance. Increases morale value by 2, okay. Increases chance to pass physiological tests, don't need it. Increases warrior rating, again, meh. Intelligence, increases spell damage, don't need it. Increases magic resistance, that's a good one. Increases stun resistance, that's a good one. Very good one. You get this guy stunned and he's going to take a lot of damage, so that's a good one. But I would say you're probably best going for alertness. And again, that is because he's going to be our fetcher and our carrier. He's going to be running around the map, using that speed to go and pick stuff up. You will put a bit of stuff in strength so you can pick up more stuff. So I would put sort of 2 points here, a point there, 2 points here, a point there. To a point where you can pick it, you've got a fairly decent carrying capacity, because that's his, really it's his only job. He's backup. He's your sea line, if you know what I mean. Like, you're going to keep him away from the action as much as you can. You're going to use his speed and agility to just get around the map, pick as much stuff as you can, drop it off at your cart, and he's just going to keep going back and forth. You're going to use your other guys as your main line, your defense, your attack, and everything. And you really want to keep these guys out of the attack at all. The only time you want to bring them in is if you're going to get pulled down, or they're in an advantage where it's sort of 2 to 1, and just throwing them in, they're probably not going to take too much damage because it's 2 to 1. That's how I like to play with them and try and keep them alive. They are a lot more feeble than they look. So alertness I tend to go with because it gives you initiative, range resistance, and chance to pass perception tests. Perception tests can be good just to find stuff if you can't find something. Range resistance is always good, especially for a character that's on the run and picking stuff up. And initiative just lets it go first. So especially if you need to get to that big pile of warpstone nice and quick, that is a really good one to go to. So I would suggest putting points into alertness first, then going to intelligence, and then completely leaving leadership till last. Again, in here, toughness, couple of points in, maybe a point into that, maybe a point into that, but mostly putting toughness as your priority. Again, it's me. You could go agility and a little bit in strength and a little bit in toughness. Totally up to you. As we move down to weapon skill, now I have put in weapon skill here for chance to hit. Now remember that you cannot parry. You're not using a weapon, so there's no parry. But melee resistance is very important here. Now agility up here also gives melee resistance, and along with your dodge chance. So don't forget about that. Toughness does not give that. It does give increased range resistance, poison resistance, critical resistance, and increases your wounds by 2%. So it does massively increase all of your resistances, which is why I tend to go for it. But melee resist will, if you can get melee resist high enough, that it stops people from hitting you in the first place. But it's a long road to get to that point where you've got melee resistance. So you've got to remember that. That's the only thing I would say to you. And I've found it more reliable this way. But there is something to be said for melee resistance. It's a great stat. And most high-end players will tell you go for the melee resistance. Cool. You just might not get there as a new player. Okay, so coming back down here, we're looking at weapon skill. So I've gone down that route just to increase the melee hit chance, to increase the melee resistance, because I'm not giving it in the agility. So I've put it in here. So I'm getting it here, I'm not getting it here, yeah? Ballistic skill, you're gonna start with 3 out of 3. Increase range, hit chance, no one cares, right? It's a useless stat for him. Accuracy. Increases your crit chance, increases your crit hit damage, bypasses 2% of the target's dodge chance. Again, good, but not probably as important as melee resistance, and increases hit chance here. That's more value. Remember, melee resistance is 1% here, or it's 1% here. And the top is 15, this top is 17, so it's only 2 more than what this is. So you're still getting almost all that melee resistance you would have got out of this, but you're gaining the toughness before you're getting the melee resistance out. Anyway, that's how I like to do it. He's at 70% dodge, so he is going to get most of those dodge that we need. Parry is useless, can't use it here. Morale, not too much of a problem here. Initiative 67, so that's pretty good. As you can see, we've got poison resistance at 61, which is really, really good. 56% on our stun resistance. Fear doesn't matter, terror doesn't matter, all alone doesn't matter. 25% on the ward, and critical hit is 17% resistance, which isn't too bad. 18% for melee is not too bad. It's not amazing though, to be fair. So all up, that's how I like to build them. Let's go into the inventory. With this guy here, I've got, you can choose, you can stuff around with whether they got a face mask or not. The face behind him looks pretty nasty, I've got to say. I've just gone with increases magic resistance. Obviously, you're not going to use the fear amulet here. Total waste of time. Because he's got the crown, his mutation is the crown, you can't put a helm on him. So that's a bit of a pain. But anyway. Clothing. I tend to run with clothing. I want to keep him light. It's all you can put on him anyway. And I get a purple on them as quickly as I can to, again, up that dodge chance. If you can get that purple on, you do tend to get purple light cloth before you'll get purple much of anything else. I just found that seems to be the way. If you do, you put it straight on him, you're getting that extra 20% dodge. So again, I'm mitigating the dodge I'm not getting by making this the primary stat. So again, I can focus on toughness and strength here. In this case, that's what I've done, right? Okay. So, and then you've got his braces. Now, these are armbands. He cannot have a weapon. He can mutate into a weapon, as you can see. He's got this mutation here. You could get 3 arm mutations. That can happen. Hopefully it doesn't, because they're not. You want other things. This one here, what is this? Morale +5, but stun resistance +50%. That's awesome. Stun resistance means, well, plus 50%, plus I've got the critical hit of 17 as well. Can't go wrong. Stun of 56, yep. Excellent. And then he's got the axe down here. So this is one of those mutations. So that's just how I roll them. You don't put a lot on them, to be honest with you. You could put a potion or something. I tend to not with these guys. And the reason for that is I want as much space as I can because he's, as I said, he's running and picking up my wardstone. Warpstone, sorry. Wordstone, they call it here. It's warpstone. And all that sort of stuff. So that's what I tend to use them for. I will tend to run things that impress speed. So enemies who engage or start a turn engaged with the user must perform a fear test. So they do create fear just like vampires. Failing the test reduces the melee hit chance by 30%. The debuff persists until I miss it. Passing a fear test or turn start. Passing any fear test will grant immunity to fear for 1 turn. So basically, if somebody does attack him, they've got to pass a fear test. He will never back down. You can't get him to flee. So it's if they do get engaged, that's it. It's kill them or die. And that can be a real pain in the ass. So do try to keep them out of battle because you've got to win every battle they go into, basically. So this does give you a bit of advantage there. So what I've put in here is after every dodge, so this is chaotic advantage, after every dodge chance, parry chance, sidestep, web of steel action, receive a chance to recover 1 offensive point. Now remember, you can't get the parry and you're not using web of steel. Sidestep you can use, and he is going to do quite a bit of dodging because of that high dodge. So this just gives you more advantages to get some of those offensive points and take more hits. And really, if this guy gets into battle, again, he's got high toughness now, but earlier on he doesn't. And it's only going to take 1 or 2 hits, and most people, especially if he goes up against a two-hander, if they can manage to get a hit on him, they're going to chunk through him pretty quick. So, I mean, he does have high dodge, generally speaking. Starts with him, okay? Moving on, increases dodge and parry chance. Don't care about the parry, but the dodge chance is good. Bringing him up again. And then when rolling for an injury, halves the chance of getting multiple injuries. Also doubles the chance of full recovery. These guys are hard to build because they're always out on their own. You are using them to get into places, grab up everything and get out, which means sometimes they're going to get caught out. So it's sometimes hard to keep them at high levels, especially if they're at higher levels. So once they get to about 5, I tend to roll with veteran just in case they do drop, so I don't lose all that money invested. Blood Offering, a melee attack that deals regular damage. If it hits, increases melee damage by 25% and melee critical hit by 5%. Damage increased to 50% and critical chance to 10% on the second go. So that's just, again, if he gets into a fight with something, I want him to just take it down really quickly before he gets hit too much, basically. Is the tactic I use here. Customization, you can go through and you can customize all this. We won't go through that right now. He doesn't have any spells, so that's it for him. Moving right along. I tend to run 2 of these guys, so I'll run 2 of them as just picking up wardstone, items, anything. That's their job. They're there to do that primarily and then to back up my guys if and when they need it. Okay, so let's move on to our next one. This is the Marauder Hero. With the Marauder Heroes, this guy's cool. He's got his mutation, he's got a double face. And he's mutated an axe into his hand here. I think he was already running with an axe, so he just ended up with a mutated axe. Let's have a quick read. The Norscan Kurgan of the far north are barbaric, warlike men who openly worship the dark gods. Their lands are continually bathed in the foul emanations of chaos, allowing only the strongest to survive. Bloodthirsty warriors, many of these marauders have been striking into the fractured empire. Marauders fight with axe and sword, often with the reckless fury of a berserker. So maximum active at once. You can only have 2 of them active in your warband at any one time. I mean, you can have more in your reserves, but only 2 in your actual warband in the field. This guy's also got the eyes here. Armband, melee armband, so he can actually go fist to fist. You can do that if you want to. Axe, dagger, hammer, mace, sword, pretty much anything you can put on him. Ranged is none. He's the berserker, so forget the range. Armors are cloth, light, shield, pendant, amulet. You can't put anything. You can't put anything more than light armor on him because he's a berserker, right? So it's all about speed and damage. I got the mutation, extra face, so that's the extra face there. Dodge and parry chance up 15%. Not bad for somebody who's lightly armored. Destroyer. Melee attacks gain the following benefits. Sunder attacks bypass 12% armor. Mutated arm on hit applies a poison debuff that reduces melee damage by 9% for 1 turn. That's his arm here. And then you got Thousand Eyes. Prevents the use of light and heavy armor, vigilance, melee and range resistance by 10%. So that, again, melee resistance by 10% is really good. However, I lost all my armor to get those eyes on there. So, and I've customized a little bit. I've given the red pants of corn for Berserker. I felt that was right. And a little head here is chopped off. Skulls for the Skull Throne. Okay, so let's have a look at the guy and see what we do with him. Now, I've run these guys with 2 dual weapons, but you can do it any way you want. The reason I do this is because 2 dual weapons can put out quite a lot of damage. And in this way, I get to run a sword, which allows me to use the parry chance, right? So he kind of gets the best of both worlds here. So physical strength 16, so that's not bad. Not bad at all. It's pretty high, so strength is good. So this is sort of leaning towards putting out that physical damage. Increases, and if we look at strength, increases melee damage by 3%, bypasses 2% of target's parry chance, increases warrior's rating. Every 3 points increases maximum carry capacity. Maximum carry capacity is 6, right? Then we've got toughness, so I've gone down this route again to basically give him as much toughness as I can. And then you've got agility 10. So agility, funnily enough for this guy, is the lowest of the stats. Melee resistance. So I tend to go with most of my Chaos Band, I head straight into the toughness, right? Again, because I like that solid stat to be able to rely upon. And it has served me fairly well so far. I've now gone into strength, but I will be putting probably second or third back into agility from this point on. Okay. So here we are. That's it for them. I tend to go with toughness, but you can go with agility if you wish. Now, moving into mental. Now, this guy does not get any perks for fear or terror or all that sort of stuff. So he's going to be susceptible to that. So leadership is important here. He's going to be in your front lines because he's going to be smashing people. He's going to be berserking into them. He's not going to be by himself that much. He's a mid-line, not a front line, I should say. So if the other guy was your back line and your runner, and your mage was your back line, this guy's your mid-line. You don't generally want to be taking charges or ambushes with this guy. You want to be giving them, and you want to be running in on people that have already been engaged for the most part, and then just hacking the crap out of them. I'll show you who our frontline thugs are in a second. So leadership 12, I put that straight up so that he doesn't run from battle or get feared out. Intelligence, not a massive one for him, realistically. Alertness, this is a pretty good one. You do want him to have initiative to be able to move. Range resistance is good. Perception steps, not so much needed. But yeah, definitely go down leadership, then into this, and then last into intelligence. Now, martial skills. A straight up weapon skill is going to be a phone. So melee resistance, again, if you're not choosing agility up here, you really want to be getting the melee resistance down here. Hopefully you'll get this again as well, but you want to be getting this as much as you can, right? Get that melee resistance, get that increased melee hit chance. You've got all this power and you're berserking away, but if you can't hit something, you're a waste of space, yeah? So definitely worth putting points into the weapon skill there to get the melee resistance, the melee hit chance, the parry chance, and up your warrior's rating, of course. Basic skills, obviously, you start off with 3, doesn't matter, yeah? Now, accuracy. Now, this is where he can do some big damage, and I'm playing the long game with this guy, right? So I've put this in here to get the melee resistance, the melee hit, to get him to a stage where I can start putting him here. If you start putting in here before you put in here, you could put it down here, but you'd need to be getting melee resist from over here, right? Which means that you're going to be a lot weaker with a lot less health. And later on, that starts to get a bit dicey because you can get whacked for big damage, right? So anyway, accuracy is going to be a big one here because he's got the dual weapons, right? So you're going to want those crits, the critical hit chance of 1%, the critical hit damage, and then bypassing that dodge chance by 2%. That is pretty good, guys. 2%, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it starts stacking up, and you've got 17, so he's got a really high crit chance and crit damage. So now that I've maxed this out, we're going to be going down this line pretty carefully. Again, I'd still max this out first, or you could go 2-1, 2-1, up to you. You might go 1 and 1, 1 and 1, up to you. I just like to get this up there because I want to be getting hits. Not much point in having this really great ability to crit. You've got this great crit chance and this great critical hit chance, but you're not hitting. You know what I mean? You've got to hit first in order to create the critical hit. So yeah, parry's at 90%. Because I'm going down that weapon skill, I need to have, if I run a two-hander, then I can't, well, I can't now because this is stuck to you. You can't get rid of it, right? So he has to go two hands. And because it's an axe, I'm going to be wasting all that parry opportunity. Yeah, so you've got to run the sword here. There's no option in it now. Can't run two axes because you can't parry with an axe, but a sword you can. The other thing I could do is I could run a shield and the axe, but this then brings down his lethality. Remember, this guy isn't about standing in the front lines and dodging or parrying or any sort of nonsense. He could parry very well. He's about doing damage, so by having the sword here, I get the damage and I get the parry. So that's why we're rolling like that, okay? So I tend to roll these guys always with a sword and something else. Early on, I'd probably run a sword and a shield, or one sword and an axe, depending on how you're feeling he's going, depending on how high your toughness is, or agility if you're going down that route. It's up to you. All right, so let's move along to our next guy. Oh, hang on, we should go to skills. Skills, rightio. So with this one here, I've gone, this is what you start with. After dealing damage with a charge attack, melee damage increased by 20%, not stackable. So you start with that. So again, straight up, he's a berserker. He's rolling in, he's gonna get that damage, yeah? So you can start him with a big two-handed sword. There's no reason you can't, and charge things. Increase the base wound value of the warrior by 20%, increases it up by 40%. Some people might say it was a waste of a slot. I like to get this fairly early on and try and give him a buff because I find with very light armor, and until you've got the points in there, they're going to take damage. Again, you might argue, well, you should be going into agility, so you're dodging it, but I don't find it as reliable. So that's just my take on things. Moving down to knowledge and tactics, increasing dodge and parry chance by 5%. Again, I want that dodge. Yeah, I want that. I want dodge and I want parry. The parry is amazing and the dodge is amazing. Not a bad one to take for him because if he doesn't get this axe as a mutation, you might roll a big two-handed sword and then do up your agility and be agility and just smacking people with two-handed sword. Again, big two-handed sword, lots of critical hit damage here. Fantastic. Yeah, can do that as well. And then in the second is 15%. Might not sound like a lot, but it actually is a lot in this game. Moving down, flash parry increases parry chance by 10%. I got this once I'd already got this here, and I knew I had to use a parry in here, so parry's increased. Chaotic advantage after every dodge chance, parry chance, sidestep, web of steel action, receive another point. Again, this guy is just you want him pummeling out as much damage as you can get at. He is your damage dealer, right? So self-explanatory, yes? Recovery chance increases to 80%. Yeah. Cool. Web of Steel. Right. Take a stance that ends the current turn. The stance allows 2 attempts to parry incoming melee attacks. A successful parry attempt will reduce the cost of counterattack by 1 offensive point. Requires a parrying weapon or a shield. Web of Steel. Hello sword. I get to parry. Yeah, this gives me 2 opportunities to parry at a 90% parry. Fantastic. That's straight up defense in itself, right? Not useful if you're fighting some specials, yeah, but useful for most people. Overpower, a melee attack that deals singular damage but with a 40% chance to hit. If hit, the target is stunned unless they bypass minus 40% stun resistance test. Chance to hit. Penalty is reduced to 20%. So once that gets to level 2, it's only a minus 20%. Now, my chance to hit is pretty good, right? It's 16, so it's not bad. My chance to hit's pretty high, yeah? So if I'm taking that, I'm probably getting a 50% chance. Once I get it into 2nd level, it'll be even less. So that'll be pretty good. Yeah, cool. Oh, sorry, over here. My bad. All right. Okay, so we went through this, didn't we? Yeah. Okay, so this. Light armor, obviously, for the same things. Increases magic resistance. This one, because he can't pass all alone and fear tests. Increasing magic resistance is good, but also fear tests and all the rest of it, he is susceptible to, so that's worth doing as well. On the other hand, where I have the axes mutated into my hand, I can't put anything on there, but I can put an armband. Attacks cannot be parried. Critical hit chance resistance. So I'm getting that extra there. So pretty good. His mutations here is he's got the double heads here. So did we go through that? Melee and range resistance by 10%. That's pretty good. And that was for the eyes. Oh, we went through that. That's all right. All right, moving along. So I got 2 of those guys, so I won't go into this guy. Let's move on to here. Now, these guys are your frontline bruisers. And these are your chaff, you know what I mean? These are it, and he can wear... All right, so I'll go into it. Rarely does a demon find a host so suitable as to become a possessed. More often, the demon has to abandon his host, leaving the mortal scarred in mind and spirit. These men become soulless, maddened by their experience, and endowed with ferocious strength of the insane. Dressed in masks and armor that resemble demons, dark souls bring their crazed fury against all who defy the cult. Maximum of 5. These are your frontline troops. You can do them any way you like, really, but I tend to find that they just make excellent frontline troops. When you're thinking about your possessed and that are running around, they've got light armor. You've got your two-handed Kurgan there, or dual-wielding Kurgan again, light armor, not going to be sitting in the front lines taking all that damage. You start to realize you haven't got a lot of heavy hitters for your front line, like just sit there and take a beating. These guys are the answer to that. So melee, axe, dagger, hammer, mace, spear, sword, great axe, great hammer, great sword. They can do everything. Can't do any range, right? Armors, cloth, light, heavy, shield, pendant, helmet, amulet, and helmet. You know what I would have really loved to seen here, and I'm pretty sure I didn't get to play Mordheim as a tabletop, which I wish I had, because I reckon it would have been pretty cool. But I would have loved to see like a Chaos Knight in here or something like that. But they just it's probably not in Mordheim, because they're kind of like scavengy bands. They're not like proper Chaos Knights. But that would have been really cool to get that real cool ass heavy armor look. This is as heavy armor as you get in for the Chaos guys. But it's not too bad. And you can play around and put skulls on it and this sort of stuff. This guy's Chaos Undivided. So, perks. Last Stand. Always fights to the death. Prevents the use of flee. Retreat actions immune to all alone. So again, good front line. They are not immune to fear. Okay? Or terror. So you got to be careful of that. Actually, let me double check that. Grants, no, immunity to all alone, fear and terror. Sorry, my bad, I forgot about that. So that's your first skill you get. So they're completely immune to everything. So this is what I was saying with your leader. It's not huge to do up leadership because, you know, there's only minimal characters that are going to be affected. A lot of your characters are completely immune to fear, terror, and all the rest of it, especially all your front line. Antithesis to the witch hunters, basically. Okay, so, ooh, hang on, we'll head back out here, blah, 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 blah. Let's look at his points real quick. Strength, 14%, so not shabby. Not ridiculously good, but not shabby either. Toughness is at 12, again, not bad. Agility, 12, again, not bad. You can kind of run this guy any way you want, and you'll find that with most frontline or chaff troops, a lot of them are kind of like this. They're kind of medium. You can just sort of do them any way you want. They're a bit bland. They don't push you really hardly in one way or the other. Again, I run the Toughness. Again, they're frontliners. I'm going to stack them with heavy armor fairly quickly. I've tried running agility builds with them. It just doesn't seem to work for me. So I tend to roll straight into that strength. You'll probably lose a couple as you go through. Remember, they're chaff that you're meant to. But you will get them to a point where you can do this. Now, they're designed pretty much to stand on that front line, take a pounding, and give a pounding. And that's really all they're about. Yeah? So I would go Toughness. And then I would probably go Strength, because again, I'm rolling with a lot of heavy armor. So your agility, other than the melee resistance, the dodge chance is going to get overdone by a lot of that armor. He's front line, so he's probably not going to be doing a lot of climbing and leaping and stuff. He's going to be sticking, you know, really trying to hold them together in the front line. You don't want to separate them. It's really about just making him an immovable tank, and that's what it's about. So Toughness, heavy armor, then move into strength. That's how I'd go. Agility last. That's my opinion. If you wanted to up his melee resistance again, because, you know, again, some of the more experienced players are going to be going melee resistance, melee resistance, melee resistance, which is very important, but we're going to get it here as well. You can get it from both. You could do agility and weapon skill and get a lot of melee resistance, which is cool, but I don't think the melee resistance is good enough early on if you're a new player to save your bum, because you're going to make mistakes. Especially as you're new to the game, and even into an advanced level, until you really know the game well, you are going to make mistakes and not realize it until it's too late. So I tend to go for that solid stat. Okay, moving right along. Leadership, not important because we've got all those immunities. So leadership, not massively effective. Intelligence, again, magic resistance good and stun resistance good. The rest of it, who cares? You know, like if you do get something like a head injury or something, then putting points into paranoia, but on the chance that you get a head injury, putting points in intelligence, meh, wouldn't worry about it. Alertness increases your range resistance. This can be useful as a frontline trooper. Initiative, again, you heavy armor, so you're probably never going to get that initiative battle. Not a poor stat, but it's better than leadership and it's better than intelligence, so go for it, yeah? Mental is not that great for these guys. They're pretty much just walking brick walls. Martial. Now here's your most important stat right here, weapon skill. Again, getting 12 points, so you're getting the same amount as you would have got out of agility anyway, of melee resistance, so pop it straight into there. Ballistic skill, completely useless, don't worry about it. Accuracy, after you fill up weapon skill. It's a secondary stat. I'm not super worried about it. You know what I mean? I'd rather just get the hits in and take the hits. That's what he's there for. You can see my dodge is absolutely crap. My parry is 62%, this is the main stat I'm looking for in this guy. I want to get it up as quickly as I can so I can get as many parries as I can. Anything he can't parry, I'm going to be taking on the armor and using the heavy emphasis on health to tank through. That's his job, yeah? His job is just to tank through. Anyway, I think I've said that enough. As you can see, this guy is only level 5, so cool. I wonder if I can show you... here we go. There's another guy here. So this is the mutant, the hero mutant. Right, now this guy, he's an early... I haven't used him a lot. Let's have a read and we'll go through him. Bodies and minds perverted by the touch of chaos, mutants come in all shapes and sizes, destroyed as soon as they are discovered in more civilized places. The lawless state of Mordheim provides a refuge for these creatures. The cult of the possessed welcome them into their warbands with open arms, seeing in the ghastly afflictions the reward of the dark gods. Armband, axe, dagger, hammer, mace, you know, he can pretty much use everything. He's one of the few guys who can use a bow and a short bow. If you're going up against guys with guns and stuff and you've got bows, you're going to put out some damage, but not enough. Armor's cloth, light, heavy. He can wear heavy armor. Shield, pennant, amulet. So this guy, I mean, let's have a look at his stats and see what he's really built for. I don't use them generally that much because I prefer the stats from the other guys. Strength, 12%. It's average. It's as good as your frontline guys. Toughness, 13%. A little bit better than your frontline guys. Agility's quite high. 16% is a fairly good stat. So it is leaning you straight towards agility, right? Leadership, 2 out of 10. Is he immune to things? Let's have a look. No, he's not. Gifted with random mutations at rank 1, 4, and 7, so he'll get mutations just like our other guys. However, he's not immune to the fear or terror test, so he will take that in the front end. Intelligence, 12. Okay, he can't cast spells. He's not a spellcaster. So moving on. So the only benefit he's going to have is magic resistance and stun resistance, and then paranoia and conditioning tests, stupidity, paranoia, deranged, right? Alertness is 15%. So again, the max stat here is agility, and then the max stat is alertness. So when you've got 2 here that have max stats, alertness kind of goes hand in hand with agility for speed, initiative of getting off before somebody else, range resistance, and pass perception checks. So Again, you're kind of leaning towards an agility tank with good alertness is going to move first. Weapon skill 15, not terrible. It's pretty good. It's not amazing, but it's pretty good. It's up there, right? 15's pretty damn good. So you've got some pretty good melee resistance. So if you're running this high melee resistance with this high melee resistance, again, this is where, and again, this is what I've been saying all the other guys, this is one character that probably would really benefit from that, yeah? However, you are going to really be, while you're getting these two up, you are going to be biting your fingernails going, ugh. You know what I mean? If I take a hit, I'm going to take a real hit because I don't have that much health, right? Ballistic skill, you can run him with a bow if you wanted to. So you could run him with a bow. He's got a fairly average accuracy, and he can only use a short bow or a bow. So you can put out pretty decent damage as a ranged shooter if you want him to be. With the agility and the alertness and the fairly decent ballistic and accuracy, I would probably run him as an archer myself to give you a little bit of range, because you don't get a lot of range with these guys. I tend to not take a lot myself anyway. Here is the last guy, and this guy is your archer basically, and I'll show you why in a second. So, mortal followers of the dark gods, the brethren eagerly seek out the rewards of the damnation. They see possession and mutation as sacred blessings, rewards they hope to earn. Through acts of insane depravity, they to descend into the inner mysteries of their obscene faith. There is no act too unspeakable for the brethren. Axe, dagger, hammer, mace, they can pretty much do it all. They've got bow, short bow, cloth, light, heavy, they can do it all, right? Now, the difference between these guys and our last guy and our frontline bruisers, which are here, yeah, you have the higher strength value, good toughness, fairly okay accuracy and weapon strength. Let's go and have a look at these guys. Weapon skill is a little bit lower. You know, I think the other one was, what was he? He was 12, so you're two lower there with that. The ballistic skill is a lot higher, and his accuracy skill is a lot higher, right? Intelligence, leadership, they have no special perks. So here's the difference. The other guy was immune to all fear and terror tests, and you won't see the same here. So increases the chance to hit by 15% with Overwatch attack. So straight up, this is your archer, right? It's already telling you this is your archer. Remember that Overwatch can be, I mean, it's an archer, right? So, oops, my bad. This guy, yep. So, strength, fairly weak, not really going to get there. Toughness, again, fairly weak, not really going to get there. Agility, which means you want to minimize the amount of times he's actually going to have to use that agility, because even the agility is 12 and it's not that great. It's certainly not a 14, 15, or 17% agility, which is going to give you really great dodge. This is an average dodge. Leadership is average, intelligence is average, alertness average. Yep. 50% ballistic skill, nothing to cry about, and then 18% accuracy, which is going to give you that big crit and that big crit hit damage. So again, high dodge. We're going to really try and hit people, and this is your archer. Right, so there you go. That's the archer. Skills wise, I've got him on quick reload, reduces the cost of reload actions by 1 strategy point. This tends to be my #1 go-to with any archer or any range shooter. I always go for the quick reload as quickly as I can, pardon me. Because basically you want to be putting out as much damage every turn you get, right? So what this does is reduces the cost of reload action by 1 strategy point. Now you might think it's only 1 strategy point. With big guns, if you're watching me doing it on the witch hunters, then you go, well, it's 3 points. So it's not really you're not getting anywhere with it. You know what I mean? But with bows and arrows, it's a lot less. Cost reduction moves to 2 on the next one as well. So that's going to give you another shot at least. Range attacks bypass 5% of targets armor absorption, and then moves to 10. And then after you climb, leap, or jump. Now again, he's an archer. You're going to want him to have the height advantage and away from things. So this gives him a big increase to get an extra shot out as well. So if you think of you're combining a reload with this, amazing. There's another shot for you. Yeah. And that's how we play. Cool. Now, going back to the guys here. Have I missed anybody? I don't think I've missed anybody. The only person that you could possibly think is... No. You've also got there is a... You can, as Chaos, you can actually pick up these guys, which is pretty cool. However, their main ability is poison, and all your guys will take poison damage, so not always the best. Here we go, this is the guy I missed. Now, this guy is your Doomweaver hero, right? So he's basically, he's very similar. He doesn't have all the same, but he's very similar to your caster. I tend to not want 2 casters in my team. 1 is usually enough, and since you're always going to have your leader, I don't rock this guy, although I have seen a lot of people play them to great effect. So don't count him out just because I haven't got him in his warband. Again, you're running an 18 intelligence, so that's pretty obvious. A 17 agility, again, very obvious that you want him lightweight and movable. And then you're moving with a 15% weapons chance, which is a little bit odd, but it's giving you, again, he's basically set up like your hero for Chaos. Now, Skaven can get this guy as well. So that's something to... Is it Skaven or vampires? Potentially vampires, I think. Mystics who tap directly into the winds of magic. Doomweavers are both powerful and pitiable. Their mind constantly filled with strange visions and the sound of demons scratching at the barriers of reality. They slowly descend into madness. The energies they harness twist their bodies with subtle mutations. Yet the magic they wield is the stuff of chaos itself. Primal, nigh unstoppable. So axe, dagger, you can only have 2 at a time. Axe, dagger, flail, hammer, mace, spear, staff and ward, cloth, light, heavy, shield, pendant. Again, he's really leaning towards that casting ability. You can do him in other things if you like, but there's casting the arcane spells, casting may curse, blah blah blah. Right. Now just quickly with his spells, because I didn't do that. If you go into spells with this guy, you start with weapons of destruction. Now, self or single ally, melee attacks bypass 10% armor absorbed, and melee damage increases by 20%, not stackable. So this is really good. Again, you're at the back of the line, you've got your guys in the front line, you know they've just engaged or they're about to get engaged. Buff up that weapon, give them an extra chance to absorb some of the damage or to get through, bypass some of that armor. And increase the melee damage. Fantastic buff. When you run it up to its 2nd level, you can get it up to armor bypass increased by 20%, damage to 40%, and range to 30 meters, casting chance of Zinch's Curse up to 5%. So that's one I will do up very shortly. This is one I wanted to get just for pure shits and giggles, just to have fun with it straight away. This is Acid Breath. Casting chances minus 15%, and Zinch's Curse plus 25. So again, once you get the 2nd level, things get funny. Allies and enemies, so this is careful. You got to be careful about how you use this one, right? Allies and enemies in an 8 meter long by 5 meter wide cone, right? Targets everything. Deals 10 to 20 damage, applies a debuff that reduces armor absorption by 10% for 1 turn, and deals another 10 to 20 damage on turn, stackable. So you can hit, this is awesome because you can get like 3 or 4 guys like pounding around your guy, and you'll just throw it out there. It's in this big cone, right? Like if you've been watching the Witch Hunter's Guide, or at least the last couple, I pulled out the shotgun and was using the shotgun, or the blunderbuss. A blunderbuss, not a shotgun, a blunderbuss. It's the same sort of thing as this cone of acid. This is really good because it's got a fairly good reach on it, and you can direct where it is. Very, very good ability. You might think 10 to 20 damage is not that much, but it's stackable. So it's going to do it again on the next turn. So if you hit, and you're going to get 2 shots of this, if you're using your all of your offensive points and bits and pieces like I showed you, you could actually get 3 of these off. So you think there's a possibility you're either going to do 30% damage with 3 hits or 60% damage, but not just on one character. I've hit 4 to 5 characters with that. So you start to do the damage, and 60% damage on 4 to 5 characters, man, oof, this guy can whack out the damage if he wants to. There is a really high chance you're gonna get, you're gonna pay for that though. So, but you know, you take the roll of dice. That's chaos for you. That's Zinch. The next one here is Chains of Chaos. Single enemy, chance casting chance -20, Zinch's Curse +20. Increases the cost of attack, counterattack, charge, shoot, aim, overwatch, ambushes by 2 offense points. This is really good, especially if you're fighting something that gets a lot of attacks, like you're fighting the opposite captain or general, or you're fighting a chaos. Later on, guys, if you're looking at this and you're a beginner, you're not only fighting the enemy, but you're in a big chaos infested town, so there's chaos demons wandering around, and then you'll get to levels and things that are chaos demons. These guys can hit and hit and hit you. So using these chains of chaos and bits and pieces reduces their ability to attack or defend themselves. So putting this on, again, you're in the back line, you're buffing, you know, you're not just damage dealing, you're buffing, debuffing, and this is a debuff, and it's a really good one. When you do the missions for Chaos, you'll get the main girl, which is on the front there, the main demonette, and she's got an ability that's even better than this, but it's the same sort of thing. And it's just amazing. Really good, can just completely stump another person. All right, so moving on, Ward of Pain, right? Enemies within a 5-meter radius around the caster. So this is an enemy only, it's an AoE, so if you're in damage, you're in the shit, you've just been caught out somehow, there's 3 or 4 of them on you, or there's 2 of them on you, this thing will put out the damage. So it deals 14 to 19 damage, bypasses armor absorption, so it just goes right through it. This is multiple enemies, it's AoE, right? Once you get it into the second one, it does 28 to 38 damage. So that's pretty big. You can do up to 38 damage on multiple units. So again, I've got that to its second level there, so it can put out quite a bit of damage. And those are the 2 that I've done. The other ones that you can get are Boon of Chaos, randomly select one of the 3 primary attributes categories, physical, mental, martial, increases its stats by 2%, so that's a buff. Veil of Corruption, a Veil of Corruption encloses the target area, reducing wordstone resistance by 25% for everyone within the area. Gathering a wordstone in this area deals 6 to 12 damage on your turn start for 2 turns. Leaving the area inflicts a debuff that reduces wordstone resistance by 25% for 2 turns. It's stackable. I'm kind of like, it's very situational, very situational. Can you use it to good effect? Absolutely you could, because you can set up, I think this would be a good one if you were playing against other players, not necessarily the PC. If you were playing other actual players, not NPCs, you could use this to great effect to deny your enemy the ward stone. Will it deny them? Probably not, they'll just walk into it, but we'll see. Randomly selects one of the 3 primary attributes categories, blah, 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 and reduces that stat by 1. Minimal, I think. Who cares if it reduces it by 2? Like, I just don't think it's a great one. Like, I didn't bother with either of these 2, to be honest with you. Vision of Torment, allies, all allies within a 5-meter radius, all allies and enemies within a 5-meter radius around the caster either stuns all targets who fail a stun resistance test or inflicts a debuff on all targets that reduces melee and range resistance along with parry and dodge chance by 5%. I mean, if he's out on his own and he's fighting, possibly, but you're going to be putting just as much damage on your own team as you will yourself, so it's kind of... I mean, this one, if you've used it to good effect, if somebody's watching this and they've used it to good effect, then by all means, please do pop it down in the comments. But I'd love to hear how you've used this to more effect. But I've just can't see the utility in it myself to go for it. So that's the caster for this one. So there's 2 casters for the Chaos guys, and I've just showed you the other one. The other guy's abilities are a little bit different, but similar again. Yeah. And that's pretty much Chaos, guys. In the next episode for our Chaos tutorial, I'll make this a 2-part episode. The first part will be explaining the how and the why. In the second part, I'll actually do a round with them and just have a quick play so you guys can have a look at how I play them and how this particular team goes. I hope you've enjoyed this. It has been an hour long. It's a bit longer than the ones I've been putting up lately. I do apologize for that. If you have enjoyed it, please leave a like. By all means, as I've said multiple times, do please leave a comment if you've got anything to add or conjecture or how you do things differently. There's many different takes on this game. That's what I love about it. So leave a comment, hit up that subscribe if you're new to the channel and you want to see more hints and tips to anything on Warhammer. I play all the Warhammer games. So I'm not good at all the Warhammer games, but I play them all. So yeah. And check out all the links below. You can check out on Patreon. I'd like to thank, I've got a couple of new Patreon supporters, so thank you very much. I can't believe how important that is to me that you support the channel. Thank you so much. I am very soon going to be putting up a Patreon page just to congratulate you at the end of every video. That's coming very, very soon. But thank you to all my Patreons. You basically keep the lights on, guys. Thanks. And that's about it, guys. Check out the links in the description below, and I will see you on the next episode of Dog Shadow Gaming. Remember, blood for the blood god. See you guys. Bye.